Good evening, everybody. DJ Styles here at Custom Corpses. Okay, let's work on something here. See if anybody joins me. Okay. All right, let me fire up my computer here. Skip. Go to my internet. So I can read your comments. That's not what I want. Okay. So let me go to my page, the channel. Perfect. Let's see who joins me. I can read your comments on how many pictures I'm looking at or anything like that yet. Okay. To basically explain what I'm doing and how I'm doing this. All right. This is what I'm going to do. I need to bring this out to the width of 27 inches. And what I want to do is start out at the smallest places. And I'm creating a band at the peak, the furthest points apart on this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm making worms. The trick here is I want to get 27 inches to the furthest point, the peak of the head, to the highest point where the head is at its most profound areas. So what I'm doing is I'm going right around the area, and I'm trying to keep it all the same thickness. And how I'm going to do that is by looking down on it to make sure that it's thick, the same thickness all the way around. And then what I do is I'm going to take a measuring tape around the circumference of this clay band all the way around. And when I have it at 27 inches in diameter, that'll tell me that I'm at the right thickness. Then I just fill in the rest with the same thickness from top to bottom. I don't want it to be any thicker. I'll just keep adding stuff to it all the way around to keep the thickness uniform. But the first thing I have to do is make sure that I get it to 27 inches. Splayed, what's that say? Splayed? Slasher. Yo, Slasher, what's up? Okay, you're going to see this little band that I've been around this thing. The key to this is trying to get the right diameter of the head. I need 27 inches. This thing's only 23 inches in diameter, the head. So what I'm going to do is once I get this band all the way around the highest points, as you can see, like the furthest point, like where it sticks out the most on this head is like right here is the peak. And on the back of the head, I'll have to turn it to see. And the key is keeping this thickness the same all the way around, but actually just getting this out to where the whole circumference is 27 inches. This is only 23 right now, so I have to get it to 27. And once I have that thickness where I want it, then from there, and I'll try to make sure that the thickness is even all the way around, front to back, all the way around. It's going to be the same thickness. Then what I do is I start layering noodles of clay on top of it and keep it the same thickness. This way I know that I've got the mask exactly the right thickness. All right. I don't want the sculpture has to be at the right thickness. And I can see the So I made sure I'm right on the scowl at the furthest point. So I know that I've got the right diameter and thickness of this sculpture. And I'm working pretty quick to get this right because I want the clay to be soft as I'm trying to work this. Oops, that didn't stick. Got to get the clay to stick, that's for sure. Now I'm going to turn this around so you can see what I'm doing. The key is getting this all the same thickness. And you see how like the back here, it's at the furthest point, the peak of like, you know, where the and the top kind of goes up a little bit because it's real the peak of the furthest point out on this rounded edge is right about here, and it drops back down right in here. So I'm trying to work fairly quick. And once I have the right thickness, then what I do is I fill in the rest. I may have to keep going in and out of the room to warm up my clay. Now, once I get this on here, the next thing I want to do is actually get that out there, whatever that was. Now, I want to take the measuring tape and measure this. Here's my measuring tape. And I want to get the circumference right. And I need it to be 27 inches. Now looking down at it, I can see where the parts that are too thin that have to be thickened and other parts that have to be thinned out. I can see where they're at because now I can see right down onto the thickness of the clay that's on there. And once I have that completely balanced out, all the same thickness, the right measurement, that's about, that's 27.5. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. All right, so since that's 27.5, I'm going to start smashing in where I see it too thick. And try to make it uniform all the way around, the same thickness. Now I have to do a 1/2 inch. Now I have to add a little more right here because this is really too thin right here in the front where I started. Because I want that the same thickness as everything else. Everything has to be the exact same thickness. Pretty easy, the process. I mean, this is my own method. I've never seen anybody do it this way. Key to success here is making sure the diameter is 27 inches because the mask I'm making is going to be a 25-inch mask. All right, let's not give me a hard time here. I pulled out too much tape. All right, hold on. Almost. Another 1/4 inch. All right, so keep mashing it in. Make sure that the thickness is uniform all the way around. See what I'm looking at here? I'll show you guys. See what I'm looking at? See the thickness? I'm trying to keep this thickness uniform all the way around this thing. That's what I'm doing. I'm almost to 27 inches just by that standard. So I'm looking down on it right now to see where it needs to be thickened and thinned. Once I have that thickness to the right diameter, then I know exactly how much to put on the rest of the head. I don't have to go crazy trying to guesstimate, because if I cover everything at one time, like a lot of people do, what happens is there's no way to judge whether it's too thick here or too thin there. We want the whole thing to be 27 inches equally all over the place. It's going to be thinner here because it's the shape of the head, but we want the same amount of clay everywhere. And how I gauge that is by seeing the edge of this thickness and make sure I just put noodles and noodles of clay all the way down, and I just make sure that I'm flush with this thickness here. All right, so let's see how we're coming along here. Right at 27 inches, that's our thickness right there. All right, and this is going to produce a 25-inch mask. So now with that being said, I'm not going to put as much thickness on top of the head because I want the head, I don't want the head like too thick because then your head's going to sit way up here and your eye alignment won't be there. Your eyes won't be aligned. All right. So here's where it starts to get interesting. And I have to make sure I keep my clay somewhat warm. Anybody else going to join the chat? As the shape changes, as the eye cuts change, I'll know basically by the thickness of this. What I'll do now is I'm going to put that thickness right under here on both eye cuts. I'm just going to make sure I see the same thickness. And that's about it. You have to remember, the eye cuts, they go in deeper. So we're going to leave those eye cuts exposed for a little bit longer. There's no eye cuts yet, but you know what I'm talking about. I'll leave a little thickness on there. Because the key to this is making sure I have the same depth of thickness. As I'm going up into this, I have to now I warmed up my clay in the I warmed up my clay in the God damn it. In the microwave. I put it in for about 40 seconds. That's all you need. I have the generalized shape once I have the thickness, you know, at the right thickness. Um, it's going to take a lot of clay. I'm going to be melting a lot of clay over the next couple of days. I'm just putting it on here. I know I'm not supposed to be working on this yet. This is going to be the winter project. But this time around, I'm only making a one size fits all mask. It's going to be a 24 3/4 inch to 25-inch mask. That's what I'm needing to do here. That's why this has to be 27 inches. I don't want it to be any thicker than that. I'm already kind of out of clay. And I'm going to start filling in. And shaping while I'm doing this. I don't have to be perfect. All you're doing here is making sure that the right size clay is in your sculpture, or the right thickness is there. I'm sorry, I'm a little tired tonight, so a little lethargic. I've been up at it all day. All right, wait a minute. I need a little more clay than that. This is already starting to stiffen up, and I want and this is part of the old clay, guys. I'm using the old clay here, so. Yes, I'll be putting clay in here too, but not a lot. I won't have to. Key is keeping the clay at the right thickness all the way through and through. Slasher, you still with me? 4 watching. There's 4 people on. I haven't seen any updates on any messages. Anybody texting? Nobody in the mood to talk tonight? Or are you guys watching movies while you got me on in the background? That's okay. But the key to this this new sculpt is making sure that I get the right size. I don't want it to be where do I want to put this? Let's go up here. Now what I'm doing is I'm just generally getting the right thickness of the whole sculpture. I'm not shaping anything yet. I'm just getting all the clay onto the head and allowing myself to let's go underneath here. Do the nose last. Now I also have to remember I'm tapering down, so I don't want this to come straight down and stay to this thickness here. I've got to taper it down too. As I work this clay. I think I'll work just on the face area, and then I'll start working on the back side. And the back of the head doesn't mean much. It's the front of the head that makes the difference. I'm almost out of clay, guys. And I don't have any more warmed up. This is just a quick tutorial, quick video tonight, just to show you the process of how to get the right thickness. And then the shaping all comes into play later. What I'm doing here is I'm pushing up some clay from the bottom because this is tapering now, so I want to make sure that I keep tapering this in. Red bro, yo bro. Yeah, I'm just putting on the clay to match what it's supposed to be, and I have to warm up some more clay, guys. I gotta warm up some more clay. How do I want to do this? Well, I actually don't want to do any more tonight, but here's the key. I did a band of clay all the way around the entire, most peaked, the area that sticks out the furthest point of the armature. I put a band of clay all the way around the furthest point, all the way around. Then I took my measuring tape and I measured it all the way around, and it's exactly where I wanted it, 27 inches. And that's going to produce a 25-inch mask, because latex will shrink up to 2 inches, and this will give me a 20, right, a 25-inch mask. Now this is just putting the clay on the head. This has nothing to do with shaping or getting the details in or any of that. Right now it's just get the clay on the head, and that's all I'm doing. And I will keep going. I'll warm up a whole bucket. I have my crock pot, and I'll probably have to warm up a lot of the clay in the microwave. That's what I'm probably going to have to do. But that's how I'm getting this thing started. As you can see, it's already tapering down the way it's supposed to. Let me show you. See how it's tapering down the way it's supposed to? That's the way you want it. The eye cuts, they get filled in last. And then I start shaping the eyes and the scowl, the ears, the mouth. And I want to make sure that I don't drift away from that thickness idea, because the chin's going to be about that thick now. So the chin's going to drop down that much further. As I get to the top of the head, because the eye head, this here is the top of a human head, right here, right? I don't want this too thick, because if it's too thick, your head's going to be sitting up inside of there and your eye holes will not align inside the mask. So the top of the head is only going to be about a ½ inch to 1 inch thick of clay. About a ½ inch. Not even. Yeah, it's got to be thinner than what's on the outside here. It's got to be thinner than this, because you got to allow for shrinkage. You know, the latex will shrink up, and then it should fit perfectly right where your eye cuts will be. It's where it'll, when you have the mask on, the eye cuts will line up to your head. If it's too thick up here, your head's going to be up inside that mask too far, and your eyes will be up here and not down where they're supposed to be when you're wearing the mask. And then if I have that problem, and for those of you that feel like a 25-inch mask is too small for you, when you order the mask, I can put foam on the inside of the mask to make it so it'll fit. I need your diameter of your head. Then I'll know exactly how much foam I need to put on the inside of the mask, so it fits you nice and your eyes line up where they're supposed to be. And if you know anything about Michael Myers mask, your eyes are way up. Your eyes are right up in here. They're not down even. They're not here. They're up here. That's where your eyes are in the mask itself. And they're back far. That's another thing. So I'm going to make the scowl pretty prominent along with the nose. I'll bring it out further, so this way your eyes will be sunk back in this mask. I want to make sure that that's how that goes, because if I don't, we're going to have serious problems with trying to, you don't want your eyes right here, right even with the cuts of the eye cuts. Because then if everybody can see your eyes, it kind of takes away from the blackest eyes, so they say. The reason why he had black eyes is because you couldn't see his eyes unless you were really close. Yeah, this is stiffening up now. As long as I have the right amount of clay on there, the small details don't matter until I start really getting into shaping. I just can't take away too much. That's the thing. I can add, I can't take away too much. So, but that's how we put clay on an armature. You want it somewhat soft. You don't want it too soft, because then it won't stick to the head. Don't stick to the armature too good. So The first step is a one thin band all the way around the furthest points of the head where it sticks out the furthest. That's where you want that band to be, all the way around. And then you keep, if it's too big, you just mash it in until you get the right diameter. You know, if you're trying to produce a really big mask, then I'd say 28 inches. And that would probably give you a 26-inch mask. If you go 25 inches, you're going to be putting out a 23.5-inch mask at the biggest. So if you're trying to produce a 24, then you need a 26-inch mask, 26-inch sculpture. 26 is what you want on your 2 inches. You want to allow for 2 inches of shrinkage with latex. So if you're trying to produce a 24, you need the sculpture to be 26, and so on and so forth. And I'm trying to produce a 25. This way it fits people. If you have a really small head, it won't fit you too great, but you can put foam padding in and stuff like that to make it fit. Even in the Halloween 2018 kills and ends, that mask had to be foamed on the inside to make it fit the different actors that wore it in the movie. I think they stuck to the one size basically for, I was going to say Christopher Nelson. No, Christopher Nelson made the mask. The actor that played Michael Myers. Come on, it's drawing a blank. But anyway, they basically made the mask to fit him perfect. The other two that played as, you know, cameo roles, well, I think it was only Nick Castle. Nick Castle wore the mask. I don't think anybody else did. But they had to stick foam inside his mask to make it fit him. Because I think they made a bigger mask for the actor that played him. And Nick Castle still has a smaller head. That's where we're headed with this, and it's going to come together pretty nicely. You know, once the armature's at the right depth and thickness, then I'll be able to, like if I drop that chin down to here, I'm probably going to make the neckline come all the way down this time to make sure that I have a really good good sized neck hole and length, because the other one felt like it was too short. The neck was too short. And as this gets thicker, it's going to be bigger. You know, the chin line's going to be bigger. Now, I'm not trying to shape any of this yet. I'm just trying to get the clay on there to the right thickness, the right size, and then we will start honing in on the details. And this is going to be a flashback mask. We're going for the flashback, since I had to start completely over. And now there's 5 people on. You guys want me to say something? Do you want me to melt some more clay real quick and keep going? Just so you have an idea of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Somebody say something. Somebody say yay. Keep going. Or a thumbs up or something. Let me know you're alive out there. I might go melt some more clay. Stick it in the microwave. It's weird, I got 5 people on, but nobody, including myself, so there's 4 people on, and nobody's commenting. So, I'm going to go melt some clay real quick, and we can get back at it. We can keep going with this, why not? And try to, I really want to get that chin area and see what that looks like and see how that's going to come together with the thickness and everything, and that gives me an idea of how low that jaw is going to go. all I need to tell the peg. And I got some right here. Let me mill it. In a minute. Takes a lot longer in that bigger tub. Takes like 1 minute and 20 seconds to warm up the clay enough to where I can really get it emptied out. I may even have to warm this up even more. Hey, I'm back, and so are you. Thanks for chiming in. Let me see, what do you got? What do we got going on here? Here, okay. Auto Fubble Gum? I can't, I guess that's what it says. Joe Reese, how we doing tonight? Yeah, I use the hard monster clay. And I got a couple reasons for it. One, I'm more of a carver than I am a sculptor. If that makes sense to you. Looks like the exterior on who? On Curly? Is that what you said? Curly? It's tough to read. this clay's not quite soft enough. I spoke too soon. It's warmer on the outside. Okay, it's better on the outside. And you know, the weird thing is now I'm starting to really see, I can see the thickness of where it's got to be. I don't really necessarily have to follow it perfectly. Now I'm just taking out these hard lines while the clay is somewhat soft, because it'll make it easier for carving. I'll fix all that. I have to warm this clay up a little bit more. I'm staying more true to the thickness of the of how thick I want the sculpture. Shaping and all that stuff, that comes later. We are not even close to worrying about that yet. You say candy or curly? What is that? I can't see it too well. Going right into the neck area here. pretty much shaping it as I go. This stuff's getting too thick, too hard. Let me put that piece like that. See what we got going on here. Make sure I fill those voids, because if I don't, the nose has got to come out quite a bit. I think what I'm going to do to tackle that, yes, I am Asylum. This is the flashback. I'm waiting for the weather to break so I can get busy with my other projects. I'm not sculpting anything right now. I'm just getting the clay onto the head, the right amount. And this is pretty much the right amount right here. I have the thickness. I was explaining in the beginning of this video how I put a band all the way around, just one thin band all the way around at the furthest, the thickest point of the head. Put a band all the way around it, and then I measured it at 27 inches with my tape measure here. So once I had that measured out, and this was 27 inches in diameter, just what I wanted, now I was able to sculpt it down and keep this thickness is what I'm working with. I can look up at this edge here and I can see how thick that clay is, and then I take that clay and I mash it down to where it's that thick, and I make sure that I stay true to the shape of the head, as well as making sure that I have the right thickness on here. And this still needs a little bit more here. It's simple. It's actually very simple to do. There needs to be more clay on this side. I can see it already. No, actually, what I'll do is I'll push this up in here. Paying a lot more detail. I threw a lot of clay on the last one. I just kept piling on the clay, piling on the clay. And that is not the proper way to do this. At least for me, I learned it the hard way. It's not the proper way for me. I want the thickness to be right because I don't want to have to do this 2 and 3 times. I don't want to have to keep taking away a lot of clay. I want to keep this so it produces a nice thick mask, or not thick mask, it's going to be a 25-inch mask. That's the goal. And that has to be done now that I pretty much have, that jaw looks pretty good. Turn that, and I need to put more clay underneath. Need to put more clay right up underneath it here. I'm mashing it in good, so it's first is the right thickness. You got to get the right thickness. Then you worry about details. And right now I'm just smoothing in, so I'm not going crazy trying to smooth this out later. Now let me see something. Let me see what's wrong here. Okay, there's a divot right in here I got to fix. Yeah, it's funny. The more you do this, the better you get at shaping the head. You know, you start seeing where your mistakes were before. And it's a big thing, man, because it's really tough to get the shape right. And studying human anatomy definitely is a plus, is a help. Knowing where the muscle structure is in the lips, making sure that the chin's not sticking way too far out. You want to make sure your scowl and your chin, the chin sticks back a little bit behind the scowl. The scowl sticks out further than the chin. And we are almost there, but that's okay. I can carve away a little bit, and I still have to add scowl to this. So that's still not done up here. I'm only trying to get the generalized shape done. I'm not trying to Yes, I'm doing this the flashback. The other thing I need to do. What this does, I see now. See, you can see the thickness of the nose. You can see where that's going. This ain't about shaping the nose. This is making sure I have enough clay where it needs to be for the nose. Looks big right now. That gets all carved away. Just to make sure I have enough on here, because the nose can be a pain in the ass. Just want to fill this void here. He looks like that old guy. Ah, cha, 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 cha. What was his name? You guys are too young for that, but can't remember the character's name. Jimmy Durante. Jimmy Durante. Look up Jimmy Durante and look at his picture. You can look him up on IMDb. Jimmy Durante. Look at that nose. Tell me I don't have it spot on. It's crazy. That's a lot of clay on that nose, I can tell you that. That's a lot of clay. Boy, is it funky looking. Boy, is it funky looking. Like I said, I'm a carver, not a sculptor. And I can what a schnozzle. What a schnozzle. That's alright, that's all going to come down. Once it hardens, then I'll be able to carve it more and get it where it needs to be. Right now it looks like the stretch version. It doesn't look like the well, the main thing is let's get the clay on first. Then we'll worry about it's funny, the deeper I go into this pail of clay, the softer it is. It's because the stuff melts at the lowest point. Looking at the shadowing, even the shapes right. It looks crazy to you guys, but all this in here I can see it all is uniform on both sides. It looks good on both sides. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at we're far from perfection here. Far from it. I have to add a little more jaw on here. But that all comes with, once I have pictures in front of me. I think I'm going to be doing a lot of this stuff not in live. I'm going to upload recorded videos of this because when I'm doing this live, I can't look at pictures well enough. I need my computer for my pictures so I can really study the pictures as I'm sculpting. And I don't want to screw this up again. It's not that I didn't screw it up, but I mean, problem is I just couldn't get the clay to stick because it was, yeah, look at that nose. Yikes! Look at that nose, guys. That's all right. I got plenty of clay to work with now, but it's on there like that because I'll be doing a lot of taking away, believe it or not. Yeah, that stuff's really hard on there already. Yeah, the neck's going to be all the way down to here. the neckline. Going to go through some clay, I can tell you that. Not quite as much as I did with the last sculpture because there was so much clay on this thing. But there'll be quite a bit. Asylum, yeah, I know. I had to restart this. It was the clay wasn't sticky anymore. I'm using the old clay right now, but it's nice and sticky. I mean, it's like sticking to my fingers. That's what it was lacking. And in order to get monster clay to get it sticky again, you have to completely melt it down and then really whisk it around. And while you're at it, strain it so it's nice and clean. You do lose a little bit of clay every time you do strain it, but you don't lose a lot. All right, before I go crazy. Let's see what the thickness looks like. A little too much of a dent right there, no biggie. A little clay and fill that hole. We're actually following the human anatomy a little more doing this, the way I'm doing it now. So it's going to be easier to hone in on the details. A lot easier. I won't have to reshape the face every time I turn around. The biggest problem when I was working with the other sculptures, I couldn't get the clay to stick to the new clay to stick to the old clay. And it's because the clay that was on here had to be reconstituted, remelded to get the stickiness back. And anybody that's a sculptor that works with monster clay knows exactly what I'm talking about. what I'm doing here on the edges is I keep pushing it out to make sure that this thickness stays uniform. And if there's any cavities like right here, I just fill that in. But I want to make sure that I keep the thickness uniform. Yep, this is all about the same thickness. Some people don't do it. This is my own method. I didn't see it from anybody. I never saw anybody do this the way I'm doing it. But I know that I just know that it was one of my biggest problems. A couple pieces of dirt got away from me there. It was one of my biggest problems when I was doing the sculpture the last time, is I just started slapping clay all over the place and didn't really pay attention to how thick it was in some spots and thinner on others. And it's so funny because when I dug into that head was this thick. I was like, holy God. I can't believe I actually made the mask fit people. That's the thing that was really amazing, the fact that it really fit people. And I was like, holy God, I can't believe I got lucky. And this time we're paying much closer detail, much more detail. And as you can see, I'm going down into the neck now. But being mindful about how thick it is. What I'm doing is putting a nice edge so I know that the next piece stays to that thickness. Now, it don't have to be perfect. Let's not go there. You just have to be somewhat close because you want to be able to sculpt it, shape it, you know. This could take probably, you know, if I started this earlier, I would have had this done tonight. I would have had the clay on there, everything I needed anyway. But I'm not gonna keep going. Now, there's a divot right in there. I'm gonna fill that. Remember, William Shatner's jawline is a little different than the average person, that's for sure. His jawline is very strange. See what I'm talking about? See how thickness is? It's a little too thick here. You see how I'm keeping this thickness even? All I'm doing is taking these clay pieces right here, since they're so soft yet, I'm just making sure that I have it the right thickness. push it in there real good. And then keep pushing it on until the thickness is the same. Little bumps and little divots that are on the face out here and all that stuff, that'll all get filled in or sculpted out. Depending on what I have to do. Or carved out, should I say. It'll get sculpted in or carved out. The top of the head will be the last thing I work on. I'll go all the way around the head. And I'm going to keep my eye on this thickness as I'm going around. Since I've got the chin area done and the facial pretty much is done. And I keep working my way around, but I want to make sure I keep this thickness all the way around. See? Not that difficult. The key is getting that one strip all the way around this thing, get the circumference to the size that you want to make your mask. This is basically a human size head. This is an Ed head that's made by monster makers, and it's a perfect armature for doing any kind of, like, you know, especially monster clay. It releases off of this really nice. I found that out the other day when I was taking all the old clay off of here. I thought I was going to be in here for days. I did. I thought it was going to take a long time. I got it all off in probably, what, a half hour, if that. Crazy. I didn't even have to put hot water in there. Normally they say you have to put hot water in this thing because it has a valve on the bottom of this, and you can put boiling hot water in here and it melts the clay so it comes off real easy. But from what I found out, it looks like it comes off easier if you just use a spatula. I used a painter's spatula and just started cutting it off, and then when I got to the head, I could feel, you know, the hardness of the head. And once I got that air pulled out from there, it just peeled right off. It was awesome. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be easy. I've already used quite a bit of clay here. So what I'm trying to do is make a nice even line here right now. Because I want to pick up tomorrow, unless the weather breaks, and I'll show you something real quick. I'm going to show you what I've been working on, other than I have to order my silicone, and I'm really waiting for the warmer weather to do the silicone. I'll have my Night Creeper 78 in production for fall. That's not going to be an issue, because it's done. There's nothing left to do to that. I just have to silicone it and then start I just have to silicone it. then once the silicone's off that mold, then I'm going to make a stone copy, one piece stone. So, and as you can see what I'm doing here now? Now to warm this up, to get this outer self to be, to get this outer shell smooth, so I can smooth it out like I'm doing with my fingers right now, because it's still soft, but it's getting harder, it's getting stiffer, that's for sure. But to get it to where it's nice and, once it gets hard, then I'll do one of two things. Once I start getting the general shape in here, I'll start raking it. Once I get the amount of clay that I need on the whole thing. Key is getting the right amount on here. Ooh, this stiffened up on me, and I want to make sure that I get the right thickness here. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's too thin. So I gotta thicken this up just a little bit more on this side. No biggie. Did you guys get the idea of how to make sure that your thickness is the way it's supposed to be? Just keep working it, keep working it, and keep working it. Yeah, man. Okay, so let me show you what else I've been doing here. Because I have to reheat that. And I don't want to reheat that. Okay, let me roll this around so you can see what I've been doing. All right, you see all these lines I had to cut into this? I shaped it. It's got a skeletor shape to the cheekbones. I got to add a little stone in this area, but that's no big deal. But I cut a lot of lines in there because when I start adding the concrete, I want to say concrete, not concrete, Ultra Cal 30, when I add it to this, I'll be able to, it'll hold because it'll get down inside these cracks. It won't come out. No way will it come out. But this is going to be a really nice mask making for latex. I'll be able to brush on latex onto the stone mold when it's done. You brush on with fabric if you want to do if I want to do burlap with a scarecrow mask, I can do it. I have to make the nose a little bit more pointy, but I'm going to do that with the Ultra Cal 30 stone. I'm going to do that. I'll shape everything perfect like this here. When I cut away from here, the reason why it was easier just to cut it all the way and shape it this way, because I was using a big sander disc. So instead of putting that jawbone like that and sticking it out like it's supposed to go around this edge here like that, it's supposed to go around here like that, it was just easier for me to cut that away, and then I'll just do it with stone. I'll just shape it with stone, really thick stone, and it'll look good in there. It's going to be an inch bigger, about a half inch thicker, about a half inch bigger on this, and it's going to produce some really nice masks, I think. yep, that's the, this was the styrofoam that I put all over my armature there. I spray foamed the armature. First I wrapped the armature, the one I'm putting clay on right now. I wrapped the armature in cellophane, and then I wet it down with water. Then I spray foamed the whole armature, completely covered it completely. All right. And once I got it covered, I split it from the top of the head all the way down, and then took that styrofoam, and the styrofoam that I use, the spray foam you have to use when you're doing this kind of thing, is Loctite. You want to use Loctite spray foam, not the other stuff, not great stuff. Great stuff, believe it or not, is more like this tan stuff here. This is a fence post foam. What's it called? It's a two-part mix. What the hell is it called? Silka, and you can buy it at Home Depot. And what I did was I split that down the middle, took it off the armature while it was still not completely solidly cured yet, because the spray foam, the white stuff, this Loctite, once it gets really hard, it's very hard to manipulate. Really hard to manipulate. But you can also rewarm this up. You just take a heat gun and you can warm up the spray foam, and it becomes more pliable again. Then you can do it. So what I did was, once I spray foamed the entire armature that was buried underneath of this, what I did was I wet it down with water, waited about 3 minutes, and then started smashing the foam up against the armature real tight. That's why it's all smooth, but you know, it's really pushed in. It looked more like this. I sanded all this to make it really nice. I had to make the neck thinner. I just had to take away a lot of the foam because it was really too thick, and I wanted that skeleton look to the face, because it'll give me a lot more crazy features with zombies and that kind of thing. So I took the jawline away here, gouged out the eyes. The scowl's nice and dominant, should I say. The nose has to be a little bit pointier, but that's okay. We can fix that with the stone once I get it thick enough. I'll make a thick peanut butter thickness of stone, and I'll shape that nose to where it looks just right. But this guy's going to be cool. I'll give you a dead-on shot. Pretty spooky right by itself, isn't it? Let me take you off the stand here, and I can read the comments on my phone. Okay, use soft clay, same thing as clean clay to sculpt. Joe Reese, I agree with you. I just think that the reason why I use hard clay is because I like to carve more than I like to sculpt with my hands. Tools than I do. And yes, that's the flashback. Yes, an actual good thing. Okay, so there's no new comments. So all those grooves are put into the styrofoam so the stone will stay on the armature, because stone doesn't like to stick to stone doesn't like to stick to cured styrofoam. Styrofoam that's wet will stick to that stone like a magnet, but the styrofoam has to be wet and the stone has to be dry. But in this case, it's the opposite. So the styrofoam's cured, shaped, and now I'm going to stone coat it so I can make latex, because the whole reason of making this stone is because latex, for that to cure on anything, it has to absorb the moisture out of the latex. That's the key. When you brush on the latex, the latex will, the stone will actually pull the moisture out of the latex, and dries really fast too, by the way, especially as it warms up. But the reason why I haven't stone coated this yet is because, plain and simple, I have to. I'm waiting for this weather to break a little bit, man. It's been either raining or cold, and I can't do anything in rain or cold. So I sit here and put a little clay on a armature, or I'm pretty much at standstill until I get my silicone. And I'm waiting to see how my summer shapes up. See what happens this summer. See what's going to happen this summer. To see what what the finances, so to speak. But yeah, this is going to be pretty cool. Now, what I was trying to explain here is, when I sanded this down, I was using a big orbiter. The silent's going to be cool, man. That night creeper's banging. I'm gonna turn the camera around right on it in a minute. But this is supposed to have a cheekbone that goes across like this, right here. But because I was using an orbital sander, it was just easier to pull that right down and dig out, because it was, the orbiter's like that big around. So I couldn't dig in and get to that stone in that area without it making it look really bad. So I was like, you know what, let's just dig this out, and then I'll do it with stone. I'll shape that area with the stone. So, you guys want to see the night creeper as it sits, waiting for silicone. And this is the mask everybody is waiting for, including myself. I can't wait to get selling this thing. Come on, I gotta get the chair out of my way. Oops. Better take this with me. All right. There is the night creeper, waiting for silicone. The lips are so awesome on this thing. It really is banging. It's really on the money. Those lips are going to be on, those exact lips are going to be on my flashback. And how I'm going to do it is, I'm actually going to, once the silicone's done, I'm going to pour in some clay right into the lip area and stick that onto stick it right onto the armature over there, the clay. This way I'm not sculpting again. I don't have to sculpt it. I can just pour in some clay, stick it on there. It's perfectly shaped. We don't have to go through hell trying to get those lips perfect again. So, and here's a skull, a human skull. The jaw actually opens. It's got a spring. Oop. It's got a spring in there. But it's got the resin teeth in it. The whole thing's made out of resin. But what I'm going to do, my plan with this guy. Come on, stay in there. My plan with this guy is I'm going to clay fill it in all the deep holes and cuts and everything, and then I'm going to make a spray foam. I'll be able to make spray foam skulls for people if they want skulls for their props and stuff. And it's human size. It's a real human size head. And they'll be able to make human skulls. One's going to have the jaw shut, and one's going to have the jaw open. So that's how I plan on doing it. But I'm tired, and I think I'm going to call it a night. And I think, thank you guys for joining me, and hit those like buttons, man. YouTube loves the likes. I'll upload this whole video. I didn't take it out of the case yet. You know what? I'll flip this around. I'll let you see it. It's not bent or warped. It's just sitting kind of weird inside the case. I have to I have to move it. And that's the mask. It's in the case. Oh, that's not even touching the bottom. Okay. I don't wonder why. It's just, I guess this, I know what it is. The plastic that's inside of here is blowing it out. I don't want the mask to get deformed. So, but that's the mask inside the case. You really like that mask, don't you, man? The hair is not bad. The hair looks good on it. That is a good looking mask. That's a pretty big mask. It's I'm going to say it's, I'm not crazy about the lips on this, but that's just me. You might like it. You might be okay with it, and you're good. The eyebrows are a little bit off too. But that's my Night Creeper display. And once I have my new mask done, the new Night Creeper will be going inside of here. That's why I don't care about letting this go. That's why, Asylum, you're getting this mask. And I don't have a problem with it. Yes, sir, this is a good looking mask. Good looking mask, but it's not the Night Creeper 78 yet. It's not the complete finished copy. The lips are everything. The lips on this are amazing. Even looking downward on it. Really on the money. Profile looks amazing. Let me give it a zoomed in profile. Look at that profile on that lips, on the chin and the lips. Really awesome. Looks a lot like the original, what do you call it? It looks like the flashback more than it does look like the life cast. I have the life cast. The life cast is a little bit thicker on the lips. The muscle tissue on the upper lip is thicker. So, ears look good on this. Everything's right on the money. I think everything's going to be good. Now, I put the hairline in the sculpture, but that's only to give me an idea of where the glue is going to go. There is going to be glue on there with hair on it. And the line's so minute, it's so thin, really right tight against the mask. You don't really see it unless you highlight it. But this is going to be really nice. This is going to be a nice, see the way you have to look at this is slanted, because the neck is slanted naturally. And the reason why it's tilted back on an angle like this is because the neck is slanted, and to make it, you know, when it's on your head, it's straight up and down like this. Because your shoulder, let me show you on the armature. If you don't slant, give me a second here. You see the top of the shoulder here? And you see how it goes downhill? That's how that slant has to be on that neck. It has to be slanted like this, the cut. Or else the mask, when it sits on your head, you're going to be hitting your shoulder with the bottom of the mask. You want the mask about that high, and the neckline about that high, and you want it slanted. So this way, when it's sitting on your head, the mask isn't, the bottom of the neck of the mask is not hitting your shoulders. It's important to have that neckline slanted. Hold on, let me read your comment. I'm standing here. The true Night Creeper is the sculpture. Yes, that's the finished one right there. That's going to be the finished, that is the finished Night Creeper. The eyebrows are perfect. The scowl is perfect. The overhang on the eye cuts are really good. I mean, everything about the sculpture right here is really perfect for me. It's good enough for me. I don't foresee, and even the smoothness of the check on this cheek, I like it. I don't want it to be like a really harsh cut. It has to be there. You see how, like, you're looking right on it, it looks, let me zoom in, it's just easier. You know, you see the shape, you see the cheek shape, and it's smoothed out. But that's where the paint's going to pick up that fine detail and the natural shadowing, because that's all it's doing right now is the light's hitting it just right, and you're seeing all the details. You're seeing the details on that sculpture just because the light is shining down right on top of it, just about. A little bit off center, but yeah, let me read that comment that you just. Yeah, they're the night creeper, finished night creeper. The lips are right on the money. They're really, really, really on the money. The one in the case was still reaching for the stars on that one. It was tough. It's a tough thing to really nail. Some people are really good at certain things. Lips are one of the things that seemed like it gave me a lot of trouble. The nose, a little bit of trouble, but not nearly as bad as the lips. The ears are easy to me. The ears are very easy for me. I don't know why, but they just seem very easy. And I've heard a lot of people complain about doing the ears. It just depends on the person. Depends on the sculptor, depends on the artist. We all have our weaknesses and our strengths. You know, and those lips are definitely problematic with me sometimes, you know, so. Yeah, I think this night creeper's got a really good chance of winning a lot of hearts and hopefully deep pockets. Hopefully I can sell quite a few of these masks. You know, it's 3 years of work. You know, I can't really just give it away cheap. I'm siliconing it again because I fixed this even closer to, the lips don't look quite the same on that last silicone. And there was also a problem with the nose was too thin. The nose was really thin and I didn't know it. And I have a funny feeling that I would have to, after a couple pours of clay or resin, that's going to break free and I'm going to have problems with the nose inside that sculpture or inside that silicone master that I made. So this time I have to really, really make sure that I put the thickness on everything, especially in the deep crevices and stuff. They have to be really thickened up, and I'll probably try and use the entire 1 gallon of silicone. I was trying to skimp on some of the silicone, and that's where I made the mistake. Yeah, the chin was also big on the other. The chin looks really, really awesome on this now. The chin was too big on the other sculpture. So yeah, everything I made the little corrections with this, but man, I hit a home run. I hit a grand slam with this. So I don't plan on changing it a little bit. I fixed that little bump, that little dent that was up in that head, put the lines back in, and now I'm ready for the silicone for the final mask. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a really nice. Yeah, I got the shakes because of my. I had it in Zoom. Oh yeah. Oh, So it'll be custom corpses. I can't call it the flashback. I have to call it something else. I can't use anything that the ends mask. No, I'm doing the flashback. I'm sticking to the flashback. You mean after the flashback? No, I'm sticking with the flashback. The flashback is, the more I see that flashback, the more I like it. And I mean, the Night Creeper, I think, is probably better than the flashback. Hate to say it, but that's just my opinion. I like the, I mean, now the flashbacks, you know, is in the movie, so it's, how do you compete against that? You don't. But my mask, my Night Creeper's got a really, really, I think, a really cool look because it's got attitude. And it gives you that Halloween 4, 5 poster art attitude, but yet still gives you all the uniqueness of like the original 78. I think so too, but that's just my own personal opinion, and not everybody feels the same way. I just think that the Night Creeper has a really, really cool. It's cool because it's got the attitude. It's got everything that I love about Michael Myers. Non-descriptive, no expression really outside of being a little bit meaner than. But who wants a friendly, clownish-looking Michael Myers? Not me. That's why I never liked the original movie 4 and 5 movie, because the mask was so horrible in those two movies. That's just my opinion. I would never do those masks. I have no interest in those masks. Now the cover art, and that's where they got everybody. They sold that 4 and 5 with the same cover art as the original Shatner mask, only made to look a little bit meaner. And I think I accomplished that look with this Night Creeper. Yeah, I got a Halloween Ends mask up here behind me. Right up there. Fell tilted back on me. Give me a second. Come on, why is this not sitting right? There's a little bit of a tilt to his head. Like he's tilting, looking at you. That's how Halloween Ends. Yeah, I'm going to paint over it. I learned my lesson trying to remove that paint. I'm not doing that again. All right, so where did I do? Oh, yeah, there's my, this is my Shatner. Now see, on the Shatner lips, you see how fat it is right up in here and over here? It's real fat up on top of the lip. And the chin profile, see that? See how much it carves in? That's the actual Shatner life cast. So that's the actual life cast of William Shatner when he was a young man. Whew. But I like the Night Creeper. Oh, I tore that apart. Had too many air bubbles in it, and it's too small. I want to take that life cast and get somebody with a 3D scanner. I'll tell you what, if one of you guys can find me somebody that has a scanner and a 3D printer, I'll send you a resin copy of the William Shatner mold. All right, I'll send you a resin copy out of my mold. Only I want you to scan it for me and make me a 3D print enlarged by like 2 inches, maybe 3 inches. I want it enlarged. I need the whole head bigger. And you can keep that resin. You can keep that resin master. If somebody can find me somebody that'll scan it, enlarge it, and send it back to me. Send me back a 3D scanned, 3D printed, larger head of the William Shatner life cast. Locally here, I can't find anybody that has a scanner and a printer that's any good. So I haven't had any luck yet locally. So if you guys can find me somebody, I'll be glad to send you the life cast, and you take it to whoever it is that you know or you're friends with or whatever, and take it to them, have it scanned, enlarged by 2 or 3 inches, and then printed. And I need a really good replica of it, printed bigger. I'll have to measure it exactly to know exactly how much bigger I want it. And then then I'll make a clay head. See, if I make a clay head of that thing now, it's very small. That mask, that life cast is very small. And the problem is I would do the clay, and it would shrink another 1.5 to 2 inches because it's too small. That mask will produce probably a 22 to 23 inch mask. That's just way too small. I know the original mask was very tiny. It was a kid's mask. So it was probably the 23-inch mask, the original mask, because it was from that life cast. So anyway, I don't know why I feel winded, but I do. I feel winded, tired. You guys have a good night. I'm going to jump off of here. It looks like a lot of you guys are jumping off too. Thanks for watching. Hit the like, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And if you're not getting notified when I'm on, unsubscribe and then resubscribe. Sometimes you have to do that because they take you out of the, because if you're not on all the time, sometimes you won't get notified. So I have to do it with my YouTube people that I follow too all the time. Right? If I'm not getting notifications from them, I unsubscribe and then resubscribe. And it puts them right at the top of the food chain, so to speak. But yeah, I'm going to jump off of here and time to go chillax in front of the TV and watch some movies. All right. Hey, London, you're just getting on here, pal. Oh, man, that sucks, man. I'll show you what I did. I started adding clay to the armature. I'm kind of at a standstill with everything else. I'm starting to add clay. The nose is huge, I know. But I'm adding clay. I got 27 inches in diameter around this armature. And that's how I had to do it. I made sure I made one strip all the way around the whole thing. And then I kept mashing it until it came to 27 inches, the circumference, at the widest points of the head. And then what you do is you constantly add to it, and then you want to get your sculpture enclosed. And as you can see, let me turn this if I can. You see how thick that is on the head? That's how thick we want it all the way around the whole thing. And I just keep adding and putting clay there and making sure that I don't go any thicker than where I'm at. But that's what I'm doing. That's how I'm adding the clay to the armature. And all the details will come out sooner or later. Well, later for sure. And I have this guy ready for stoning. That's going to be cool. I got all the cuts and stuff in there, so the stone has something to grab to. It's onto the styrofoam, and that I made that on that armature back there, the one I just put the clay on. I took spray foam, sprayed it, split that down, took it off the armature, and then used a fence post foam and filled it up. And now it's a solid foam piece. And then what I did was I shaved it, sanded it to where it looks like a skeleton type of face, and made the head smaller. So when I put the stone on there, it's going to be really, it'll be a nice piece. So, and then I'll be able to make scarecrow masks or zombie mask, or a combination of scarecrow and zombie. And you guys will see that process too. I'll do that outside. As soon as the weather is warm, I got plenty of stone. Yeah, well, yeah, I took all the clay off the the ed head, and then when the clay was off, I spray foamed the ed head, and that's what that is. And on the back of that, I split it from the top of the head all the way down the back, and then took the spray foam off of the ed head, and then taped it back together, and then filled it. You see this tan foam that's in here? Well, that's actually inside. That was because I shaved it down. But that's the fence post foam that was inside the head. So the white foam is the spray foam, and that's Loctite, and the tan foam is actually the fence post foam that was inside of the armature. But that's going to really produce some nice masks. That's going to be really good when I get that filled. I'm going to probably about a ½ inch thick of stone all the way around it. And then I'll be able to make some really nice latex masks on that. And I'll probably put, like, burlap or different fabric and stuff, and I'll be able to make fabric, put fabric into latex. Can even do silicone. But the silicone, you have to cover the silicone. I would have to cover the stone in a plastic wrap or something where it'll silicone will stick to stone. We don't want that to happen. So let me get off of here, guys. I'm really getting tired. Time to move on to some other project. Right now I'm going to go watch some TV, and I've been on here. I did quite a bit. I put clay all over that head, and that's going to be the flashback. Once I get shaping that's going to be another yep, that's what I'm going to do with that. I might even do that nose and that lip. I might just, to make the flashback, just use the nose and the lips and the chin and put it right on that armature back there. Yeah, I'll put it on that guy and then see what we can come up with. Oh yeah. Anyway, let me get off of here, please, and have a good night. Thanks. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Share the content. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Thank you again. Apparently, one of my videos had like 1,600 views this week. It was a short. I got notification from YouTube Studio saying that one of my shorts went viral. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, I'm going to jump off of here, guys. Clay face of Shatner. It's all melted. Yep, I re-melted that. All right, guys, peace. I'll see you on the next video. Good night.